الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الواحد القهار الذي لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد وصلاته ودائما وسلامه المستفيد على البشير النظير محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وعلى آله وصحابته ومن سلك مسلكه وقتفى أثاره إلى يوم الدين. أما بعد, we give thanks to Almighty Allah for having preserved our souls to witness today. We sincerely say a big thank you to Allah for the fact that He has retained you and me on the path of Islam, the path of the prophets of Allah altogether, and the path of those upon whom Allah's mercy is a decree. We say we thank Allah to bless us, to have blessed you and me, to have been the followers of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. We beseech Allah to increase the manifold of blessing upon the soul of Muhammad, to extend that onto the entire household of Muhammad and to the companions and to you and me among the generation of Muslims to the day of reckoning. We at the same time say a big thank you to the organizers of today's event, our teachers, our fathers, and our mentors. I will begin by mentioning names, even though those whose names are going to be mentioned don't like such. But it is a must for us to admit that some people actually have labored to give us the shape that you see in ourselves today. I will begin by saying that I recognize the presence, the honor that my teacher, my mentor, and my role model in person of Al-Ustadh Ismail Jeje, the Lord has paid in making sure that we follow the paths of the predecessors. It is when people may have recorded success in their endeavors that such endeavors may tickle another people. They began the journey of their life by making sure that they got themselves enrolled at an Arabic institute, after which they graduated. They were the ones when we were growing up, were looking up to. I believe some of us are claiming to be looking up onto us as well today. We had looked up onto them when they were at the madrasa. We got into the pursuit of wanting to know why they were at the madrasa then, because then their age contemporaries were at the universities, looking for what they call Western knowledge. But they defied all odds and made sure that their first shot at scholarship was at the Arabic school, and they graduated. And we were given the leeway, we were given the template with which we also began our journey in life. I say, may Allah preserve you for us till eternity. If at all is going to preserve you, may He preserve you upon goodness at all times. Not you alone. We equally invoke such a prayer unto all other people who are your contemporaries, who have served us better. Yes, you have served us better. You served us better. You didn't teach us to be arrogant. Neither did you teach us to condescend to those who had come before us, and that is why we are doing what we are doing today. And I equally pray for my brother, my friend, in person of our Ustadh Sharafuddin Animasham. I'm just getting to know that he bears Animasham. So may Allah preserve you upon goodness. May He make your home firmer than you expect, because you have taken a giant slide, and in fact you have given us a challenge in the aspect of managing what we consider to be the starting point of all successes. The home front is the starting point of all successes, and that shall reflect in our discourse about Ibn Sina. We call it the scholar from Al Sina. We want to know what excellence is all about. We want to know how one can succeed in recording, in writing for oneself, excellence in all ramifications. And when we say excellence, we do not only mean to excel in the aspect of the mundane knowledge, because that doesn't the only index for excellence, and it doesn't begin the journey into assessing what excellence is all about. Excellence in the view, in the opinion of today's organizers, of the organizers of today's event, does not only mean to have 9 A's in your head, neither does it mean to have scored rather over 300 in your UTME. Excellence rather in their opinion means what is much more higher, or what is much higher rather, and what is much more significant than that. Excellence in the opinion of our scholars who have invited us here to discuss about the personality of Ibn Sina goes beyond what you and I may think. How do we excel in front of our Creator, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? That is where excellence starts. Because if one succeeds in life, if one succeeds in one's chosen field or specialization, but fails before Allah, one has not succeeded. Craftsmanship, but fails before Allah, one has not succeeded. And succeeding before Allah is the beginning of every other success story that one may have in life. So you have to succeed before Allah. And how does one succeed before Allah? It is simple. Succeeding before Allah is very simple. He succeeded before Allah, and he succeeded in his chosen career in life. In fact, there are a number of things that there are, meaning that whatever a man will record as success will first of all begin where? From home. Ibn Sina succeeded in life, and the success he recorded in life began right from where he was born, right from where he was given birth to. Ibn Sina was a scholar of the 2nd century of the Islamic era. A scholar of the 2nd century of the Islamic era, which is equivalent to the 8th century of the Christian era. He was a scholar of the 2nd century of the Islamic era, equivalent to what? The 8th century of the Christian era. How did he come up as a scholar? Where did he begin? How did he begin the journey? And what were the factors? What were the factors that facilitated his early rise? Because he rose to fame at an early age. What were the factors that facilitated his early rise onto stardom? And what were the challenges he encountered in life? What are the challenges he faced in life? Because there isn't any success story that does not go with challenges. There isn't any success story that doesn't go with challenge. You can't just emerge as a worthy mortal, as a worthy personality without you having to encounter a number of challenges. The success story that Ibn Sina, we call him Al Sina, recorded began from his home. And how did that begin? I will rather I would refer to some of the statements of our scholars about Ibn Sina, and I'm also going to refer to what he himself made as a reference point to how he recorded what he recorded as success in life. He began the journey by the fact that he got enrolled at an Arabic school at an early age. That is where he began the journey. He was enrolled at a Quranic school at an early age. He was enrolled at a Quranic school at an early age. And I'm going to quote him verbatim, like we say, I'll quote him verbatim. He says, his personal story began by through the fact that his father was a scholar within a palace of one of the Umayyad Caliphs. His father was a teacher in the palace of one of the Umayyad Caliphs, and a knowledgeable personality. And he says, لَقَدْ حَاضَرَ وَالِدُنَا لِي وَالْأَخِي الْوَحِيدِ مُعَلِّمًا لِلْقُرْآنِ. He says, my father had brought in for me and my younger brother a Quranic teacher. That was where he began the learning, the academic journey that later made him into who he became. Not only that, he says, وَلَقَدْ اسْتَطَعْتُ أَنْ آتِيَ لِلْقُرْآنِ حِفْظًا. He says, I succeeded. Istata'tu ala an atiya ala al-Quran. He says, I encountered the Quran successfully by having committed it into my memory. Laqad istata'tu an atiya ala al-Quran hifdha. And I succeeded in memorizing the whole of the Quran. I committed the whole of the Quran to memory. And how old was he then? At a very tender age. He says, وَتَعَلَّمْتُ الْكَثِيرَ مِنْ نُصُوصِ الْآدَابِ. I was also introduced into several texts of the literature, of the Arabic literature. He memorized the whole of the Quran. The person about whom we are speaking today was globally adjudged as the teacher of all contemporary medical practitioners. He was globally adjudged as what? The teacher of all contemporary medical practitioners, teachers of all medical doctors. And how did he begin the journey into academic study? He began where? From an Arabic school. There are 2 points I want to establish here. One, Ibn Sina, alayhi rahmatullah, may Allah be pleased with him, began his academic success through a cooperation from his father and his mother, because it might have been a troubled climate for him had his mother not allowed the father to get me enrolled at an Arabic school. The mother perfectly submitted to the will of the father to get Ibn Sina enrolled at an Arabic school, and the father did that. We are going to put this out as a challenge for our mothers here, and for our fathers here, and for those who may be following what we are saying. Do we as parents, usually come to terms? Do we as parents usually submit to one another over the choice of the career of our children? That is a first challenge, because we have seen, read, and have been told of a number of our families where the father and mother go their separate ways just because they want to have a particular opinion that will guide the journey of their children. They want their separate ways. The father is saying, or the father says, I want to get my children enrolled at Arabic school. And the mother is saying, who does that any longer? You see, thinking that no one will go to Arabic schools and become successful. That is a satanic thinking. That is a very satanic thinking. Here are our scholars. He wouldn't like my saying this, but I will say it. He wouldn't like it, I will say it to serve as lessons for you and me. He's into his doctoral study after having bagged two master's degrees in different disciplines, scientific disciplines. So, and he began all his journey in life through an Arabic school, through the Quranic memorization center. So it is easy. Who says whoever is enrolled at an Arabic school wouldn't be successful in life? Who says that? No one says that except a myopic. Who says whoever is enrolled at an Arabic school will be successful in life. No one says that except somebody who is myopic about what the future holds. Scholarship the world over began, we make bold to say this, with us Muslims. Scholarship the world over. When we say scholarship, I mean scholarship that you know, scholarship that is being marketed before you today, began with us Muslims. Our scholars began it. Islamic scholar, Muslim scholar began it. And those Muslim scholars rather, among whom is what is Ibn Sina, whom we are discussing today, actually, those Muslim scholars began the global market for scholarship after having come back from Arabic schools. So there was a unison between Ibn Sina's father and his mother about what? About the decision to what? To get me enrolled at an Arabic school. At an early age, he memorized the Quran. Not only that, he got immersed in other areas of the Arabic literature, which later created the global figure in him. So that is the first lesson. How often do your mothers and fathers come to unison? How often do they form unity about the choice of what should be your career? So this particular point has ruined many homes, and as we speak, continues to ruin many others. When there is a disparity, indecision between the choice of a career for the children between the father and the mother, it is just similar to saying that wherever two elephants fight, who suffers? The grass. So Ibn Sina's mother, did not go into any controversy with his father over the choice of what? Of the career. He began from Arabic school. He began with the memorization of the Quran. And as he continued to grow, he later had several other pluses to his career. That was where he started. And now, a thinking faculty that begins its journey with the Quran can never be led astray. That is what we believe. Any thinking faculty that begins the journey of scholarship with the Quran through the Arabic school, I don't want to make references at this early time to several other scholars, several contemporary scholars who also began their journey to scholarship through what? Through the Quran and through the Arabic school. But as we go further in the lecture, I shall make references to them. But you know that Ibn Sina wouldn't have succeeded to become what he became in life had his mother not supported his father over the choice of what should be his career. So that is a lesson for those who are listening and for you that are right here watching what we are saying. So when you get home, you can talk to your mothers and fathers. Because as we speak, there are a number of parents who believe, erroneously though, that getting their children enrolled at the Arabic school, because you see, the hearsays are too much, the rumors are too much. People will say, how would you take your son or your daughter to a center where Boko Haram insurgents are groomed? This is a fallacy. This is a fallacy. If we have a number of Muslims that misbehave today, had their predecessors in history misbehaved? Let's say, okay, there are 1,000 of Muslims that misbehave, that misrepresent Islam today. The question to those who are history conscious is that, did or had their predecessors in history misbehaved? This is what an Islamic poet, Maruf al-Rasafi, says. He says, if the Muslims today are ignorant of what scholarship is all about, he says, have their predecessors been ignorant? Here's a question. If the Muslims with whom you live today misbehave, did their predecessors misbehave? If the Muslims with whom you live today do not value knowledge, did their predecessors not value knowledge? So the first port of call is, how do we create a union, a unity between the choice of career for children, between the father and mother? See, Ibn Sina succeeded here. Ibn Sina continued his life. He did not stop there. In fact, it is going to be surprising for you to know that he became a medical doctor, a pronounced medical doctor at age 16. He became a pronounced medical practitioner at age 16. How old are you? Do you know? Can you just flash back to what you listen to what you read, to what you do in your closet? Several of you have flooded the TikTok page. You do TikTok, you know nothing. You do TikTok, you read nothing. You do TikTok, you don't even have plan for your future. And the most disgusting part of what you do is that you don't remove the attire from you. You don't remove the hijab. We now see a Niqabi sister that do TikTok. Niqabi sisters do TikTok. Niqabi sister with niqab, they do TikTok. Khimarite sister with khimar do TikTok. We see brothers whose PS of trousers don't exceed their ankles, do yahoo. They do yahoo. They have yahoo friends. They have yahoo schoolmates with whom they live, with whom they rock, like they say we rock, from whom they collect frames. Somebody who has stolen a valuable material in the market isn't called a thief in Yoruba land. Who do we call the thief? The person that what? That collected from him. If you have Yahoo frames, you are also thieves. You are thieves. Those mothers who feel happy that their boys are into Yahooism are mothers of what? Mothers of Yahoo. And those mothers who do not feel disturbed with the involvement of their daughters in the TikTok show, in the Wibi Nigeria show, are mothers of Ashawu. Even if those ladies put on what? The khimar, Asewu niyo. Oh, wa jasewu lo se TikTok. Man lil a'ma wa lil mir'ati. Kí la fojú fẹ́ fi glass ìwọ ní di TikTok ìwọ di TikTok. Asewu ni man ṣe báyẹn. Ibn Sina became a pronounced medical practitioner at age 16. Age 16. And that was where the turning point in his life began. Because there are a number of scholars who will say a lot. I've not forgotten the topic. Excellence. Yes, excellence. The case of what? Ibn Sina. I've not forgotten. If he wasn't an excellent researcher at age 16, à ń gba táyà lọ́wọ́ ọmọ mi ní ọmọ ọdún mẹ́rìndínlógún táyà. Ìyí táyà. Wọ́n tí wọ́n máa ń jà sí oúnjẹ nìkan ni wọ́n jà sí oúnjẹ. Táwọn bá fún ojú lọ́pọ̀ oúnjẹ. Bínú. A máa rí inú yín lóbìnrin tí ó lọ gbé pọ́ọ̀tì ọbẹ̀ pàwọn tó gbọ́n fún lóúnjẹ ọlọ́jọ́ orí age 16. Ibn Sina. Ohun tó dì. Oúnjẹ nìkan lọ́wọ́ yóò wá jẹ lẹ́yìn ọjẹun. Kò sùn. Wọ́n ní wọ́n jí mi òfúta àjúdù wọ́n ní àmọ́ sọ láti ẹ̀tọ́jú fúta àjúdù. Wọ́n táwọn ilé ìdá. Look at what this in your personality became in life. And we are explaining the processes through which he became what he became, so that you and I can draw lessons from the way he has spent his life as he was pronounced a medical doctor. He not only became a pronounced medical practitioner at age 16, the field of natural sciences, the field of philosophy, and the field of embryology. We'll never forget a personality called Ibn Sina. Because before this age, Ibn Sina had read a book on metaphysics. We call it metaphysics. Metaphysics. He had read a book of metaphysics written by Aristotle before he attained that age, before age 16. And sincerely, the books on philosophy at the time this Ibn Sina was growing up, because he grew up in modern day Uzbekistan. We call it Bukhara in history. From the same city that produced Al-Imam al-Bukhari, alayhi rahmatullah, the same city that produced Al-Imam al-Bukhari produced what? Ibn Sina. Uzbekistan. We call it Bukhara. But now Uzbekistan. When he was good, and historically, Uzbekistan wasn't far away from modern day. In fact, it was part of modern day Iran. Uzbekistan, Bukhara then was part of modern day Iran, and not far from the Greek Empire. So it was possible for the scholars in Bukhara, Uzbekistan then, to have contact with Greek philosophers. The language, am I making sense here? Or should I change my tongue to Yoruba? Don't demo. At the time he was growing up in Bukhara, the other scholars rather in Bukhara had contact with the Greek philosophers. But it wasn't all of them, actually, that were able to come to terms with what the Greek philosophers were saying. In fact, Ibn Sina, Ibn Sina himself, had to confess that he had to read the book of metaphysics written by Aristotle 40 times before he could comprehend. Why? Because the original language with which Western philosophy was documented wasn't English. It was a Greek. And at the time we are speaking, the period in question we are discussing, no single European scholar that understood English had emerged. The period in question, around which we center our discourse about Ibn Sina, during that period, no single European scholar that understood English had emerged. The Muslim scholars of the period were able to decipher, to understand, to break down the language of Greek philosophy and got it interpreted, got it translated into Arabic. And that was what gave Ibn Sina the opportunity to traverse, to walk through the area. In fact, he himself admitted that he was able to understand the book of metaphysics written by Aristotle after having read another book of philosophy translated by another Muslim scholar before him, Al-Farabi. We need all these, yes, because what you and I are being told on daily basis is that Islam allows for mediocrity. Islam is it is your fault, it is my fault. And it is the fault of several traditional scholars, traditional Muslim scholars, who equate erroneously scholarship with, scholarship in other spheres of life with apostasy. Àwọn tí wọ́n sọ pé bá tó ti kàwé iná ni ó wọ̀ ẹjọ́ wọn ni. Ìyẹn ni òbí ẹ káwọn èèyàn mọ̀ pé èmi àti àìsàn olódò àìsàn ẹgbẹ́ ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ èèyàn láyé, just because we are being detached from our glorious past. Àwọn àfáà wa ló ń la ìbò lójú ìkánbẹ̀ lànkà yìí. Ibn Sina is a perfect example. I'm tracing a path to greatness, to stardom. I've not begun to speak about his ideological making. It is wrong pa àkídà rẹ̀. Wọ́n padà sọ. Torí ìyẹn ló ń fà tá a fi rí some upcoming Muslim scholars who say trash. They say trash. Wọ́n jágbàjàgbà náà sọ nípa personality life. Not about And not only about Ibn Sina, they say thrashes about several other Muslim personalities in history. They accuse them of a sin they have never committed. Especially scholars of Ibn Sina's pedigree. I'm trying to bring closer to my and your understanding the environment within which Ibn Sina had grown up, for you to see the kind of people, the kind of scholarly personages that live there, and what spurred him into wanting to know about philosophy. At a point, he admitted that he dabbled in philosophy not because he wanted to know about Greek philosophy. He says, I dabble in philosophy because I want to establish the lives of the Greek philosophers. He says, I dabble in philosophy not because I want to learn about philosophy. I do so to dispel the lies of the Greek philosophers. That is Ibn Sina for you. He would, at age 16, after having been pronounced as what? As a medical practitioner, age 16. What do you read 16? Wọ́n tẹ́mi àti yín máa ń ṣe lọ́wọ́ láwùjọ tí wọ́n ń bí. Wọ́n táwọn máa ń ṣe lọ́wọ́. Wọ́n táwọn obìnrin àwùjọ tí rí ló fò tán dánwò lọ́wọ́lọ́wọ́ ní èjì wọn lásìkò tá à ń sọ̀rọ̀ yìí in the house of Bibi Naija. Sànkó náà máa ń wò ó. Sànkó dáná ni ọ́. An eleha that has time to watch Bibi Naija is a satanic eleha. An eleha, a Niqabite, and a Hijabite, a Khimara that has time. Eleha o sì máa ń sunkún ìwọ Bibi Naija. Ó fẹ́ kó fẹ́ ṣèṣì nánú. Torí whatever you read or watch makes you. Nítorí ọba ń kà, tó ọba ń rí, yóò sọ̀rọ̀ tó wù wá. You have time to watch Bibi Naija. You have time to listen to Rihanna sing. Gbogbo ẹlẹ́mọ́gbẹ́ wò. Ẹlòmí orí sílíndì ọ̀sí mẹ́lórí ẹ̀mí oyin àmà. Àfikọ́lọ́mọ́dé kọ́kọ́lọ́ yóò dúdú létà. You have time to watch, to listen to Rihanna. You have the time to watch Bibi Naija. It means you are going to be getting involved in certain things that are against Islam in your closet. Ó padà sí tí ọ̀dá ń kọ̀rọ̀. Ó padà sí tí ọ̀dá ń kọ̀rọ̀. At age 16, Ibn Sina was pronounced a medical doctor. And then, what did he begin to do? He began to go into the contours of medicine that no other scholar at the period had known. وَكَانَ يَكْشِفْ عَلَى الْمَرِيضِ وَيَفْحَصُهُ. He would diagnose a patient and try to know whatever might have befallen him. وَهُوَ مَا يُطْلَقُ عَلَيْهِ الْيَوْمِ بِالْفَحْصِ الْإِكْلِنِكِ clinical observation. The first scholar that began clinical observation was Ibn Sina. At a time, no single European scholar had known anything about what clinical observation. And a chunk of contemporary medicine is what is clinical observation. They say you should come to the diagnostic centers. What do you do there? They will observe you. Because clinical observation led to all the manners with which what do we call it? They say when you go for X-ray, there is a particular term that they use for it. Not X-ray. There is a term they use for X-ray. Thank you, sir. Radiography. Clinical observation, going by the precept put down or laid down by Ibn Sina, led to contemporary radiography. What are we saying? At a time, no single European scholar knew this field. And he learned what he later put into practice with Arabic language. Into Fikon. Abomedeni, Arabic language. Into Fikon. Walamiyakun yaktafi. Ìtànjí ó yé wa. Area tí mo ń lọ gangan ló máa fi parí. Walamiyakun yaktafi bi dirasati tibbi nadariyan He wasn't only immersed in the theoretical aspect of medicine. Case a theory lesson. Some people biology, and you've read that popular book where there is no doctor, Abi Otika. Having read that book where there is no doctor doesn't make you a medical doctor. Not going History has it that Ibn Sina lam yakun yaktafi bidirasati at-tibb nadariyan. He wasn't only immersed in the theoretical aspect of medicine, but marasahu amaliya. He went into the practice. He went into the practical aspect of medicine. He would diagnose. He would slate people for surgery. He would dissect al-faslu. Wàhálà wà. Al-faslu tá máa ń kanu tí a fi kò kìí ṣe gbẹ́rẹ́ àbá àmọ́ sí gbẹ́rẹ́ mọ́. Wọ́n tó máa ń pe gbẹ́rẹ́ ní al-faslu. Meanwhile, you know our terms that people like Ibn Sina came up with in the field of medicine. Only al-faslu, dissection, medical dissection, can lacerate èèyàn. Wọ́n labi kan lára, wọ́n labi kan nú. Iná ń pè faslu kìí ṣe gbẹ́rẹ́. He would dissect. He would carry out a medical operation that we call surgery, in order to fulfill the dream that he wanted to take medicine away from the theoretical realm. He did that. Like I said earlier, he did all these. ولم يتجاوز بعد 16 عاما. When he was performing all these wonders, he had not exceeded age 16. Age 16. What is Ibn Sina was a perfect, a crazy reader, yes, an insatiable researcher. He comes to a conclusion that there is nothing difficult in medicine. Only he says, I don't see medicine as a difficult field. Only I know I've become an icon. Lord, ìmọ̀lá ń sọ yìí láńtúlẹ̀ yìí àwọn èèyàn dó mímọ̀ láyé, in fact for over 1,000 years, there wasn't any other medical reference book in the whole of Europe other than Qanun at-Tibb Ibn Sina, other than the canon of Ibn Sina. For over 1,000 years ìtàn lò tó fi ń kọ́ medicine. Wọ́n sẹ́ stop maliciously ní Tabusi at the later part of the 18th century. Not stop with ní wọn ò kàwé rẹ̀ mọ́ lẹ́yìn tó ń translate yẹ wọ́n lò for over 1,000 years. And tó kọ̀wé ọ̀hún ó kọ̀wé yẹn when he had not at age 20 lọ́kọ̀wé ọ̀hún tán lò for over 1,000 years. Kí lọ́mọ tí ẹ ń kọ yahoo ọmọ tí ẹ ń kọ TikTok, ọmọ tí ẹ ń gbẹ́sẹ̀, ọmọ rẹ̀ ń gbẹ́sẹ̀, ẹ̀rìn ẹlẹ́ àmì náà yóò mọ̀ fi jáàbù Ọlọ́run gbẹ́sẹ̀, yóò fi kìmọ́rọ̀ Ọlọ́run gbẹ́sẹ̀. Ẹni tó kọ̀wé ìtàn lò for over 1,000 years kò ìkọ́ mú gbọ́n ló dé kọ̀wé wù. Kọ́lọ̀n kọ́ bá wa kẹ́. He continued on the journey up to a point when the whole of Bukhara, Uzbekistan, became flooded with philosophical thinkings, philosophical reflections of the Greek people. Torí pé gbogbo wọn tá ń sọ̀rọ̀ yìí kò tí ìtarabọ̀ philosophy ìmọ̀ bá ṣe ń tọ́jú ara àtà tó kọ̀wé kó pè ní Ashifa. Ìwé tó kọ́kọ́ nù. He authored the book titled Ashifa bá ṣe ń tọ́jú èèyàn. Lẹ́yìn tó kọ̀ yẹn ló sọ akọ́ nǹkan pé ní kí ni ọkọ̀ nínú tíìbì. Gbogbo ọdún yìí kò tí ìtarabọ̀ kí ni philosophy. What spurred him into what motivated him into learning about philosophy in Kakalofa? It wasn't because he chose to be a philosopher. Ìtí ò yí ọ̀dá àfáàmì lẹ́gbẹ́ wa lẹ́ntí ò tó wa àti tí máa ń jáde dẹ̀rìn ẹnu bí ẹran tó jẹ́ gbé wa ní pé àwọn tó jẹ́ àwọn àfáà wa Ọlọ́run dákun bá lékún dáadáa. I can remember vividly àwọn àti Al-Ustadh Abdullah Sogiro ọjọ́ tán kúrò nílé kéwú mo rántí dáadáa wọ́n sọ wípé àwọn ti kúrò nílé kéwú àwọn ti fẹ́ kó ládùúgbò àwọn fẹ́ kíṣẹ́ dáwọ̀ parun ẹni tó dẹ̀ ṣiṣẹ́ dáwọ̀ yóò lọ kéwú pé ẹ̀yin yóò dá kẹ́ẹ̀rọ àsìkò pẹ́ lọ lé kéwú mọ́ tẹ́ ń ṣe kí iṣẹ́ dáwọ̀ lè bá kú àsìkò yìí làwọn àfáà wa Al-Ustadh Ishaq animasahun Ustadh Abraham animasahun kókó lágbéni ẹwọ access yẹn in tí mo fi relate instance ni pé Ibn Sina did not just venture into philosophy. Something disturbing before him at the time spurred him into learning about what philosophy is all about. And he says I wanted to retain my niche in the medical field, but I was invited, that is what he was saying, I was invited to give a medical treatment to the Umayyad king of the era, who was resident in Bukhara, became fell sick and was in need of a medical practitioner. Emma wojo orí tí ó ti pogún ọdún àwọn tó lè tọ́jú ọba òsèkí ní kò sí wọ́n lọ pé Ibn Sina tí ó ti pogún ọdún. Subhanallah. The Islamic environment then was friendly to knowledge production. The Islamic environment, the Islamic world last week was friendly to knowledge production, unlike our contemporary society. Why do I say this? At an age not up to 20, the whole Bukhara, Uzbekistan, was looking for a perfect medical doctor who would give what? Medication to the king. It had seen none except in the personality of what? Ibn Sina. And it went for him. And that was where the turning point began. He says, upon stepping into the library of king, library ọba وَكَأَنَّنِي نَفَضْتُ إِلَى عَالَمٍ كَبِيرٍ. I saw myself having stepped into a bigger world than the world in which I had been living. Holy library interfering sọ pé èèyàn lọ́dún náà lásìkò náà lọ́n ní kí o ní every library. Alexander the Great, that Macedonian philosopher, a library in Egypt. City in Alexander in Egypt. Library that library was superb and was second to none in history. Lásìkò Alexander the Great yẹn. Kí mo fẹ́ sọ ni pé he said upon entering into the library of the king, he began to memoir into the fact that I'm into a larger world. And he says, I told myself right from that spot that I must know whatever is here in this library. Ẹ̀sùn àwọn ọlọ́bànjọ́ náà lọ́hùn ìtàn bẹ́nìkan ṣe wíìnì lọ́nà Asia Minor lọ́nà Greece àwọn ẹ̀wọ̀n Hellenes náà máa ń pè wọ́n gbọ́nà ṣe wíìnì ní irú ìwé ẹ̀ náà máa ń rà irú ìwé philosophy náà máa ń ṣe kí náà máa ń kólé. Ibn Sina would henceforth leave his home, head for the library of the king. Ibẹ̀ ló ti wá kórè sí àwọn ìwé pa philosophy. Pé ìtàn sọ ní pé àwọn àfáà mùsùlùmí yẹn mà what do these philosophers say? Kí náà máa ń wí náà? Nítorí curiosity nìyẹn o. Kí náà máa ń sọ náà? Ó ní tó ń rò ní pé I must not leave this library because I think I've entered into alamin kabirin mali'in bil ulumi wal ma'rifa. I've entered into an entirely different space that is replete with knowledge and scholarship. He began to make the king's palace, the king's library rather, is endeavor. Ìyẹn ló fàtẹ́ pé ó ká ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ ìwé ń pa àwọn philosopher láti refute wọn. Mo ti ń sọ ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ fàtí o mo tún ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ point ó kọ́ ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ ṣe mọ̀ pé ẹni tán ní kọ́ lọ kọ́ nǹkan kódà ẹni tó fẹ́ carry out research àbí ó fẹ́ carry out àwọn pè kankan ní participant observation wọ́n ní kọ́ lọ study àwọn tí mú gbó àfá ọ́fàrà kí ìfẹ́ gbó we must admit this wọ́n ní kọ́ study àwọn louts tàbí pè tout tàbí ọ́fàrà kí ìfẹ́ gbó. When I'm a journalist friend wanted to unravel the mystery secret behind Koro, there is a place called Koro America ní Academy. So when a journalist friend of ours wanted to unravel the mystery, he went there. He disguised as a member. He disguised as one of the callers. Now, when he was doing this, I want to ask you the question. When he was doing this, wouldn't he perceive the odor of M? Sure, ni gbórùn gbó. Yóò gbórùn gbó. Ìyẹn ọ̀dẹ̀ tó wọ́n sì kó ṣe kí ni o, kò tó wọ́n sì kó ṣe kí ni o, kò tó wọ́n sì kó mú gbó. Kò tó wọ́n sì kó mú gbó. He began to journey into the world of the philosophers. What do they say? What do they know? And what are they up to? He wants to know. He began to read. If he is told that a particular philosopher has written a book, he will look for the book and make sure he reads the book. He began all the journey. Up to a point, he says, I will read. He says, وَمَهْمَا أَخَذْتُ هَدِنَ نَوْمَةٍ. I will read up to a point I was unable to sleep any longer. He says, if I read a particular part of a philosophical book now, I wouldn't know the meaning until I sleep. And in my sleeping, or in my sleep, I will be guided to the truth or the fact about what I've read or what I had read before I slept. You see, I wouldn't close my eyes, or no sooner than I closed my eyes than I began to realize and to know more, to understand more what I had earlier read. That is Ibn Sina for you. So he wanted to dispel the lies of the philosophers and philosophy, especially Greek philosophy. He went into that. And he himself admitted that he had a problem understanding several things they had written down, and he would look for other Muslim philosophers of his time or those who had come before him. Nítorí kí n máa sọ ilé ní pé sharing scholarship, especially Islamic scholarship, kò ṣeé ṣe kádẹ̀ máa sọ fẹ́ tí ń gbọ́ wa náà tí ń wò wá. Ní táwọn ọ̀dọ́ kan fẹ́ ṣe ni pé ká kó ìmọ̀ àwọn tó gbá ju ọlọ láwọn àfà ká kó dáná. Tábà sọ pé a fẹ́ mú nǹkan tuntun wá, ìranà láàmú wá. Ilẹ̀ yìí náà sì fi rí láwùjọ wa. Gbọ́n tó ti pé àwọn bàbá àná kò sí kí wọ́n ṣe dáadáa. Tí wọ́n sọ pé àwọn bàbá àná mọ́mí school tiwa. Àwọn bàbá àná in the sunnatic realm tí wọ́n gbọ́ súnà yìí tán gbé súnà dání ní gbogbo bí tán pín sí. Àwọn bàbá àná tán gbọ́ súnà yìí tán gbé súnà dání ní gbogbo bí tán pín sí. Mí ni wọ́n máa la aṣáìrì ó lè fẹ́ kúlẹ̀ nínú àwọn aṣára ìtìbẹ̀sí máa ń pè wọ́n nínú àwọn súnà náà wà. Àwọn bàbá àná tán gbé ṣẹ́yẹn dání tí wọ́n gbọ́ súnà yìí tán gbé dání yẹn ó lè kó tán ṣe dànù gbìyànjú ó lè ní template náà. Bẹ́ẹ̀ máa ń sọ̀rọ̀ nípa kókè à ń sọ̀rọ̀ nípa usulu dín lónìí wọ́n bí ọmọ kí ni template rẹ̀ ọ́ máa kọ̀rọ̀ àwọn àfáànà bí kọ́ kọ̀rọ̀ Ibn Manda àbí kọ́ máa kọ̀rọ̀ Ibn Manda nínú àwọn àfáà alákìídà ni kọ́ máa ka ọ̀rọ̀ Abu Ismail al-Iraqi al-Baghdadi afwan Abdul Qahir al-Baghdadi ó máa ka ọ̀rọ̀ wọn ó máa kọ̀rọ̀ Izzuddin Abdul Salam ó ma template nìyẹn kó tó kó ọ̀sọ̀ kó fẹ́ máa kọ̀rọ̀ àwọn kan fẹ́ máa kọ̀rọ̀ ó kàdá ọ̀kàrọ̀ Abu Hamid al-Ghazali kó tó kọ̀rọ̀ Ibn Taymiyyah torí Ghazali ẹsẹ̀gbẹ́ Ibn Taymiyyah a ní template àwọn lè wòkókè ẹ jẹ́ ká critique template yìí kálíbà lè understand the in a better way tó wà consistent with our contemporary society bọ́ kó wá dá sí àwọn bàbá àná nù ó dàbí àwọn tó sọ pé ìrànà màmá òun tí ń bojú ṣe àwọn òbí òun ṣẹṣẹ̀ àti ẹ ó ní màmá òun tí ń bojú pé ìrànà ni màmá òun tó ń bojú wọn kọ̀ lọ fìyà jẹra wọn ni owó tí fìyà jẹra rí àbí àwọn òbí ṣe ti ẹ bẹ́ẹ̀ náà ni ká rí ẹlòmíì tó pẹ̀lú ẹlòmíì lónìí tó lóun fẹ́ dá sí àwọn àgbàlagbà yẹn yóò dá sí ara ẹ̀ lóun náà ní lórí pa àwọn tàná yẹn wọ́n lórí pa ló já máa sọ̀rọ̀ ń pa wọn lónìí táwọn ti sọ̀rọ̀ kan sí kí á sọ pé wọ̀kọ̀lá Sheikhul Islam Ibn Taymiyyah àbí torí bó lórí pa ìwọ ni wọn ò ṣiṣẹ́ àtàwọn tó bú tó yọ ẹ̀kọ́ ìbú sí tó bú darí ni wọn ò ṣiṣẹ́ àwọn tí wọn náà dì lọ́la àwọn tara yóò sọ ń pa rẹ̀ ibi mo ti lọ ní pé àwọn kan sọ́nà àwọn àfáà wípé Ibn Sina isn't a scholar from whom we can take knowledge. There are some of our scholars who say that whom is Ibn al-Qayyim torí pé táwọn kà ń pa ẹ̀ ni wọ́n sọ kìí ṣe tí Ibn Sina fẹ́ràn ara ẹ̀ sí kí ni o tó fẹ́ràn ara ẹ̀ sọ. And that Ibn al-Qayyim says what he says about Ibn Sina isn't sinful. In tó máa ń pàdé ó ṣe gẹ́ni lọ́sọ iṣẹ́ ẹ̀ta wa ni pé káwọn gòkè no in tó jí ó ṣe in tó ṣe lẹ́kìn sọ pé in tó pè ní philosopher tó pè ní atheist wọ́n study environment tó ṣe kí tó ti dàgbà wọ́n dẹ̀ study àwọn èèyàn against whom he had taken his time to learn more about philosophy torí àwọn kan ló di ó kọ kìí ṣe torí kó fẹ́ dọ̀ta Ọlọ́run ẹ̀gẹ́ tí mo sọ kìí ṣe torí kó fẹ́ dọ̀tọ́ lọ́lójó kọ́ torí àwọn kan and ó ṣe tó ṣe in defense of what of this Islam àwọn kan sọ pé ẹjẹ́ ń gbọ́ síbi tí wọ́n sọ báyìí wọ́n ní àkèé sáàfà tó bá ṣe ń sọ ìtabásọ̀rọ̀ ń pa ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ àwọn khulafa al-Umayyun àwọn kan sọ pé àwọn tí wọ́n ọ̀dá alákìídá táwọn ọ̀dọ́ mi máa ń sọ nínú ẹ̀ẹ́rí wọn kẹsì wà sí kan reference wọn ní láyé adẹ̀ ń bèèrè lọ́wọ́ dèdè ní ara wọn yí pé bàálù tí ń fò sí Yahudi lónìí ìmọ̀ bàálù tí ń fò sí Yahudi lónìí bí Ibn Sina ṣe rí náà làwọn àfáà tí wọ́n invent those scientific frames bẹ́ẹ̀ làwọn náà ṣe rí Abbas bin Frinas olóbẹ̀rẹ̀ aeronautics bó la ṣe ń fò lẹ́yìn tó fi ìmọ̀ lọ́lẹ̀ ní Isaac Newton ló wá 800 years lẹ́yìn yẹn ló tó sọ di tí wọ́n ṣe kíta ń kọ́ ní kíní aeronautics in tí àwọn ilé ìfi tàwọn ará ayé láyà ń gbà yẹn ni pé tán máa ń sọ ni pé the Arabs are from the desert and know nothing lárúbáwọ̀ ọmọ kẹ́kẹ́ wọn àmọ́jú kan kírun kan sàlùwàlá yìí tí wọ́n ń sọ ń pa àwọn àfáàjọ́ náà lọ ní ilé káwọn ká yàtọ̀ sí pá kírun á sàlùwàlá amọ̀tẹ́ẹ̀sẹ̀ kí ni amọ̀tẹ́ẹ̀mọ̀ that was what engendered the challenge. It wasn't because they went into philosophy because they wanted to disprove the existence of Allah. Irọ́ torí ẹ̀kọ́ Ibn Sina náà gbọ́ káwọn èèyàn pò náà tán pé Ibn Qayyim ó sọ pé Ibn Sina ó ní kánà mínà lè kọ̀rọ̀ mẹ́tọ̀ àwọn ọ̀ràn àwọn ṣíyà kan náà pé kọ̀rọ̀ mẹ́tọ̀ alìbàtìníyà tó máa ń pariwo ìmọ̀ bàtìní àtàwọn aburú tó máa ń dálẹ̀ ní tánpé nìyẹn ó ní inú ẹ̀ ló ti wá so kódà wọ́n ní Ibn Sina máa ń sọ yí pé òun ògbọ́lọ́ngbọ́ ẹ̀mà ẹwù tá a sọ pé ti bẹ̀rẹ̀ ìsinmi ayé ẹ̀ ọlọ́lọ́wọ́ ògbọ́lọ́ngbọ́ torí pé àwọn kọ̀rọ̀ mítọ̀ albatiniyya kana alladhina la yu'minuna bi mabda'in wọn gbapá nípìlẹ̀ tọ́lọ́n ti dáwà wọn gbàgbọ́ wala mọ̀ádín wọn gbapá padà sọ́dọ̀ ọlọ́ngbọ́ wala rabbin khaliqin wọn gbọ́lọ́n tó dẹ̀dà gbọ́ wala rasulin mab'uthin wọn àgbànábì kan tọ́lọ́wọ́n rán gbọ́ wọ́n ni wọn àgbà ẹgbà tó láwọn àwọn ìròyìn ẹ̀dàkùn sí mùsùlùmí ni. And we maintain that Ibn Sina wasn't a kafir. And how do we dispel the wrong claim that holds that he was a kafir? Àfikà máa kí ló ń fẹ́ràn ara ẹ̀ sọ gbogbo tán sọ ń pa ìlọ́gbọ́ ó tó kú. Ibn Sina sọ fúnra ẹ̀ pé ó náà tó ń pò ní kèfèrí bí wọ́n náà sí ń pa àwọn àfáà kí ó ti ẹ̀dùn wá gan lásìkò sí àwọn àfáà ọkọ̀ ẹlẹ́yà àwọn àfáà tó ìpéjọ tán ti gbọ́n náà ti ń pariwo súnà wọ́n ní ọmọ funfun lórí súnà ni àwárí wèrè kan yóò máa pè wọ́n kèfèrí wèrè kan yóò máa pè wọ́n ní mubtadi' wèrè kan jásí bí wọ́n náà ṣe máa ń ṣe wèrè kan yóò máa pè wọ́n ní mufti jama'ati tabligh aládàáwò ó kàwé ọkàtì ó kéwú tí ẹran rẹ̀ wọ́n fẹ́ wà wọ́n yóò wọ́n fi gbogbo ìsẹ̀mí ayọ́ náà sínú ẹ̀kọ́ ẹran ara rẹ̀ nǹkankan sí Yorùbá máa ń sí tí ọ̀dá fẹ́ olórí ibú Yorùbá mọ̀ ṣùgbọ́n wọ́n fẹ́ kó sinẹ̀ èdè kò tó sàárè kan tó sọ pé ní tó ń sí àmà kó ṣòfò àkànfẹ́ sọ fún wọn wèrè in this contemporary time in Nigeria káwárí wèrè kan tó wò bí ire tí ò lóbi ire kọ́ wọn pa àwọn àfẹ́ ẹni ọlọ́run àwọn àfẹ́ ẹlẹ́sìn kọ́ wọn pẹ̀lú ní olùbídíà kọ́ wọn orúkọ náà lè pe bàbá rẹ̀ kí ní odò jama'atu àmì mufti jama'ati tabligh àti ẹran kan tá a rò bí èèyàn rí lẹ́gbẹ̀ẹ́ tí wọ́n sọ fún ọ ní doctoral scholars kó wá ṣe ulumul hadith sọ́ọ̀sì tó àmà ṣe wá dé náà wọ́n náà fún scholars kó wá ṣe ulumul hadith òsì tó àmà ṣe tó bá dé náà ní ó ti ń ṣe wọn ibi tí wàhálà dé tó ẹ pé gbogbo nǹkan tó jẹ́ wọ́ọ̀mà gbogbo tó jẹ́ indices pé Islam had been great in history lánàá gbogbo indices yẹn are being demarketed láwọn èèyàn sọ mùsùlùmí ń fẹnu bàjẹ́ fúnra ẹ̀ àwọn tí èsè òsìn fẹnu bàjẹ́ wọ́n tún wá dé wọ́n sọ pé súnà yí ọsọ̀kò tó ẹni ò tó lẹ́hun èèyàn rí lápé àmọ́ pé wèrè tí ò tí ti yába kó sì dé ní ọ́ àwọ́dẹ̀mọ́ sọ ti wá ẹ̀yìn lọ́jọ́ ọ̀la yín bà wà lẹ́rù torí gbogbo ló ní sugar coated mouth tọba ikú ọwọ́ ilẹ̀ tọba ikú ọwọ́ ọlọ́láwọn wọ́n pè tí wọ́n pè Ibn Sina wọ́n pè bẹ́ẹ̀ lójú ayé ẹ̀ wọ́n ní philosopher ni wọ́n ní shi'iyyun karamiyyun pé ìran àwọn Shia tí ọ̀gbọ́lọ́gbọ́ bá sí ròyìn ni ó wá dáhùn ní gbogbo tẹ́ ẹ sọ yìí laqad sami'tu ó ní òun gbọ́lò dodo minhawu láì dùn àti àwọn tí wọ́n jẹ́ Shia kọ̀rọ̀mítọ̀ yẹn tí wọ́n pèkù lọ bí Shia al-Ismailiyya Shia tí wọ́n ni àwọn yàwó nínú Shia hátà àwọn Shia al-Ithna Ashariyya táwọn tó burú gan tó pẹ̀lú wọn kèfèrí ó lọ ìpèpè wọn òun gbọ́lò dodo òun gbọ́ tó máa sọ̀rọ̀ nípa ẹ̀mí wal aqli àti ìbílà káìsẹ́ ń ṣiṣẹ́ òun gbọ́ tó máa sọ̀rọ̀ nípa ẹ̀ ala al-wajhi alladhi yaqulunahu wa ya'rifunahu lórí bá ṣe ń sọ àti bó ṣe yé wọn kìí ṣe bóun ṣe rí àti bó ṣe yé òun lórí bá ṣe ń sọ àti bó ṣe yé wọn lókè kí n fi ìbò sábàlá olè má gbọ́ yé ń sọ Yorùbá kó lè bá yé ọ lórí bá ṣe ń sọ àti bó ṣe yé wọn wa kadhalika sami'a abi wa akhi bẹ́ẹ̀ náà pé bàbá òun àtàbúrò òun ta sọ̀rọ̀ ilé ẹ̀kẹ́ tó bẹ̀rẹ̀ Kùránì wọ́n pè bàbá òun àtàbúrò òun náà fa ajaba kilahuma bàbá òun àtàbúrò òun dá wọn lóhùn they got tickled by the lies they were spreading lọ́nà táwọn yẹn ń pa orin bàbá àtàbúrò òun wọn lọ bainama lam yastati'u an yashudduni ilayhi ṣùgbọ́n láwọn òjì kan rí òun wọ́ ọlọ́lọ́wọ̀ jẹ́ kan rí òun wọ́ asma'u o máa ń gbọ́n tán máa ń sọ wà udriku ma yaqulunahu bẹ́ẹ̀ ni tán sọ ìtumọ̀ rẹ̀ yé òun ṣùgbọ́n wala taqbaluhu nafsi ṣùgbọ́n ẹ̀mí omi ọgbà so fún pé Ibn al-Qayyim who says and who has written in his Ighathati al-Lahfan about Ibn Sina in this tongue has only written what he has known about him. And this is Ibn Sina giving a clearer testimony about who he is. Òun ọ̀sán pé ìṣẹ́mọ́ jọ gbé Bukhara wọn jọ gbé Uzbekistan. Ìṣẹ́mọ́ Bukhari ò bá rú wọn gbé Uzbekistan. Wọ́n jọ gbé bẹ̀yìn. Ibn Sina sọ pé imani billah ìgbàgbọ́ mi nínú Ọlọ́run la yataza'za'u kò ṣe ìkìláyé. I have a non-shaking belief in Allah. Imani billah la yataza'za'u ìgbàgbọ́ òun náà Ọlọ́run la yadtaribu omi pàápàá falau kuntu kafiran tí má tẹ̀wà jẹ́ kéfìrí bá ṣe ń sọ́ọ́kì falau kuntu kafiran nínú Bukhara yìí Uzbekistan lásìkò tí ó wà yìí falaysa thammatun muslimun haqiqiyyun wahidun ala dhahiril harbi tó má jẹ́ kéfìrí lódodo kò lè sí mùsùlùmí lórílẹ̀ ayé mọ́ torí pé lásìkò yẹn gírí philosopher ìròrí wọn tí ó ti kó bọ́pọ̀lọpọ̀ àfáà mùsùlùmí tàbátà lè kó ń kéfèé rí tẹ́ tó rí òun lẹ̀ bá sọ fún dìdìrín yẹn tí ń lẹ àwọn ẹgbẹ́ bàbá ẹ̀ láàfáà tí ń pè olóko tí ìṣe tún wọn dàárọ̀ yìí tó mọ́ ń wí àmọ́ ń gbọ́ a rí pé ayé ò tí ìkọ́ ẹlẹ́kọ̀ọ́ ayé ò kọ́ ẹlẹ́kọ̀ọ́ wọ́n ní mọ́nlám ẹni tó bá jẹ́ sí pé mọ́nlám yes ẹni tí bàbá àti ìyá rẹ̀ tí ó bá kọ́ lẹ́kọ̀ọ́ ẹni tí bàbá àti ìyá ó bá kọ́ lẹ́kọ̀ọ́ bàbá àti ìyá rẹ̀ alhamdulillah man lam yurabbihi abawahu man lam yurabbihi abawahu ẹni tí bàbá àti ìyá ọba kẹ́lẹ́kọ̀ọ́ fal ayyamu turabbihi ọjọ́ ayé ọkọ̀ lẹ́kọ̀ọ́ tọ́wọ́ tí wọ́n fẹ́ sọ̀rọ̀ ń pa wọ́n wọn náà wójàwójá ọ̀rá àwọn àfáà kankan bú wọn àfikún sáàmà bú al-Ikhwanul Muslimun tẹ́nà àwọn àfáà yí sádá rédíò ọgbà kún iṣẹ́ ìyàn rí yes I'm on here tẹ́nà àwọn àfáà wọ́n sádá rédíò ọgbà kún iṣẹ́ ìyàn rí èyí tẹ́ mọ́ bú nú wọn tó jẹ́ gbalagbàjù nú wọn Ibn Bas bá sọ̀rọ̀ tó fi kú ni there were occasions Ibn Bas yóò lọ tẹ tírà yóò fi wá rẹ̀ lápò ara rẹ̀ alayhi rahmatullah yóò fi lọ tẹ print new print al-halal wal-haram lil-Qaradawi tó bá ti tán ní Saudi Arabia tẹ́bátá fẹ́ bú àwọn èèyàn tẹ́bátá fẹ́ bí gbà pé assignment shaitan lẹ́gbẹ́ dání this is part of the Islamic heritage against which we must not be ignorant tá gbọ́dọ̀ mọ́mọ́ irú àwọn àfáà báyìí náà máa ń bú àwọn àfáà tó ṣe péjọ́ táwọn ọ̀tẹ́ẹ̀sì fẹ́ ba odidi àgbáláyé Islam jẹ́ Uzbekistan for example Bukhara àwọn àfáà tó dìde sí wọn tí wọ́n sọ pé kò sí ń tọ́jọ́ irú wọn lélẹ́yìí òdodo ní pé wọ́n yọ̀dà jagun jọ́nà ṣùgbọ́n wọ́n fi ìmọ̀ jagun ṣebí wọn náà ṣe international relations okú lújú ó sí international relations àbí gbogbo tá a máa ń kọ́ yẹn sí ò affect rẹ tí bá ṣe kọ́ láìsìn tó ṣe kí ni o tó ní so bó lè sọ pé èèyàn fẹ́ defending kankankan èèyàn ó fi ìmọ̀ defending ìmọ̀ tó gbọ́dọ̀ mọ̀ bá àfà bá fẹ́ mọ̀ nípa Illuminati tọ́rọ lọ kọ́ ẹsẹ̀ máa fa àkídà náà létí pé ẹ̀dàkùn ẹ má gbàgbé àkídà o ìgbà táwọn àfà wá study tán pè ní asiru sorcery àbí idán wọ́n ní ó ní tọ́pọ̀lọpọ̀ wọ́n sọ Ibn Taymiyyah nafsuhu ó ní tó padà sọ ń pa alákọ̀ọ́nibọ́ láàrin èèyàn àtàǹjànú nínú ayé ìgbékọ́lá ti sọ ó ní tó sọ ìgbàtà àfáà ń sọ̀rọ̀ ń pa àsìrú wọ́n bá débi tán pè ní ànúṣọ̀rọ̀ wọ́n jẹ́ pé ànúṣọ̀rọ̀ yà ní ìfẹ́nu pè ní kí ni o sírù àti lọ pé kẹ́ ń tó serú o sí kí ni o kọ́sàlàyé ẹni ìní sọ Yorùbá rẹ̀ kọ́mọ̀dé àbàrí pé àbí wọ́n tó ń fáwọn traditional scholars ní kí ni o so ẹ̀yin kò sí ẹfẹ́ kọ̀ láti dispel kankan ẹ wà a bit affected àfáà ní ibi tí Bukhara dé yìí bẹ́ẹ̀ bá tún pẹ̀lú mi ń kèfèrí kò sí mùsùlùmí láyé mọ́nà torí pé the particular society in question that Bukhara Uzbekistan was on the verge of being subsumed wọ́n ti fẹ́ gbé mi pẹ̀lú àwọn orí ibú àwọn ilé wa sacrifice àsìkò wọn ìjọ tí o tí ìmọ̀ tí ń jẹ́ súnà ìjọ tó lọ secondary school tó ní girlfriend akúkú mọ̀ ní gbòòrò Ìbàdàn wá sí àwọn tó fi gbọ́ súnà yìí ló ń bú lónìí tó wọ́n ti kọ́ sáásí fún ọ we will see how far you will go ọ̀rọ̀ yẹn máa ń dùn yìí we will see how far you will go so kẹ́mi àti mọ́lẹ̀ bá dọ̀tá àná ẹ̀sìn wa àti àná àwọn àfá ọlọ́jà máa sọ lẹ́yìn a gbọ́dọ̀ dọ̀tá àná wa o a sì gbọ́dọ̀ dọ̀tá àná àwọn àfá yẹn ní tó bá kù tó fẹ́kún láfikún ó lọ ń gbọ́ mọ́sí máa ń sọ bí yẹn bá kóró òun kèfèrí ó fi hàn pé فليس ثمة مسلم حقيقي واحد على ظهر الأرض kò sí mùsùlùmí láyé mọ́nù ìgbà táwọn àfáà kan wá rí pé a sọ yí pé èèyàn bẹ̀rẹ̀ ìmọ̀ ìwádìí ìmọ̀ kèésò nìkan àwọn àfáà tán bí tó jẹ́ àfáà mùsùlùmí tán gbé scientific knowledge dání lásìkò yẹn pọ̀ wọ́n pọ̀ gan ṣùgbọ́n nínú wọn ìkan lò nínú wọn tó sì pé tó sì jẹ́ challenge ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ Ibn Rushd al-Andalusi alhamdulillah Ibn Hazmi ẹ̀sùn bá fi ń kan afisina wọn fi kan náà pẹ́pẹ́ ìtàwọn ilé fẹ́ defend Ibn Hazmi al-Andalusi was a Spanish scholar in tó náà mójútó mathematics medicine tẹ́tìrí in tó mójútó nù ìwọ́n ń ṣe lọ àwọn kan wá ní ẹ̀rí Ibn Rushd kò tí ẹ kò mọ́ kẹ́kàn bá ṣẹ̀rí àmọ́ sórí kèta ó mímọ̀ ọ̀sẹ̀ bẹ̀rẹ̀ wọ́n á sọ kan Ibn Rushd lójú pé kò mọ́ kẹ́kàn bá ṣẹ̀rí àmọ́ báyọ̀ lóde mọ́ fíkì mọ́ ó ní ẹ̀rí pé sciences ni máa ń sọ ń sọ̀rọ̀ sciences o mathematics ọba ní ohun lójú obìnrin kọ bidayatul mujtahidi wa nihayatul muqtasid nítorí obìnrin kọ ohun mìíràn bá ń kọ́ pa al-fiqhul maliki tí ò tí ìka bidaya àbí òsínú tí ó kà kò tí ìmọ̀ lójú obìnrin kan pé òun ṣé tó gbọ́n ti ń sọ̀rọ̀ sáyẹ́nsì tó ti ń sọ̀rọ̀ nípa kí ni o ọ̀rọ̀ mathematics ẹ̀rọ ìwọ̀n ọmọ eléyìí náà ó sì kó fi challenge other Muslim scholars who fight they were into fiqh ní Spain pé ẹ̀kọ́ lú ẹ̀. The same thing applies to Ibn Hazmin. Ibn wọn kọ́ ni pé ẹ má jẹ́ ká di mákẹ́ẹ̀tì àná ẹ̀sìn wa ẹ má jẹ́ ká di mákẹ́ẹ̀tì ó ti ẹ̀ máa ń dùn wá ẹ̀wọ̀n tẹ́ ẹ máa ń sọ wúrò tẹ́ ẹ ń pariwo òsì ìjọ ẹ ti bẹ̀rẹ̀ ariwo ẹ̀dá sátú ẹ̀sìn rú ẹ̀ lórí pa bẹ́ẹ̀ bá tó ti dáràn bẹ́ẹ̀ ṣe máa ń dáràn ẹ̀wọ̀n tó dáràn lọ́la àwọn bàbá tẹ́ ẹ máa ń wù ní máa bá yín tàn á tó sọ àfà má kó ọwọ́ tó bá kọ́ àwọn tó bí ọ́n kèfèrí ọ̀rọ̀ ọlọ́mù ọ̀nà ẹlẹ́yà má kó ọwọ́ tó bá ikú ọwọ́ ọ̀dọ̀ táwọn tó bí ọ tó náà ilé half nothing for you as program wọn ní nǹkan fún yín àwùjọ odidi ayé ń celebrate ìmọ̀ wọ́n celebrate an advancement in knowledge àwọn celebrate retrogression yóò bẹ̀rẹ̀ àwọn terms tí ò ní rẹ̀ orí reflection lọ́la àwọn kan sọ áfíkọ̀ jẹ́ kó lọ́wọ́ gbóhùn tó sì tẹ́ǹtì lámọ̀ àwọn sọ áfíkọ̀ àwọn jàbátá phase 2 àwọn jàbátá phase 3 ó sì ráta mọ́ra yọ kò háàdì value mọ́ wa ó yẹ ká sọ̀rọ̀ nǹkan gbogbo làwọn àfáà náà yẹn ìmọ̀ náà ń sọ látàràbọ̀ ìwọ̀n òdí kèfèrí báwo lẹ́lẹ́ ó ṣe lọ yunifásitì tí ò ní fi jáàbù lẹ̀ ó yẹ ká máa sọ ń pa ẹ̀ tó dáwọn ará àná ò ṣe kí ni ó fẹ́ sí ilẹ̀ wọ́n fẹ́ sí ilẹ̀ ṣeun ìgbà táwọn afáwà padà rí pé tàbá ní ká máa sọ tá ń sọ yìí àfi ká rí study àwọn àfáà yìí ká rí study factors tó mú wọn tàràbọ̀ yẹn àfáà náà pé no wọ́n èsè kèfèrí Ibn Khalkan nínú àfáà tí wọ́n jẹ́ àfáà tí wọ́n ń sọ contemporary ọ̀ká sọ pé a lè pè ní àfáà tó náà tó is of the same pedigree as Al-Imam Dhahabi. Al-Imam Dhahabi kọ Siyaru A'lami Nubala àbí Ibn Khalkan kọ Wafiyatul A'yan biographies náà ló mẹ́mẹ́ fáwọn àfáà inú biographies tó ń kọ tó pè ní Wafiyatul A'yan oló tún wá padà tún dìmú searchlight lórí personality Ibn Sina sẹ́ńpé afisina náà wọ́n pè small state náà ti bí gangan nínú Bukhari pè ní Afshina 2 lórúkọ city náà pè Afisina ó ní wàkọ̀dùdọ́ fàjídàn wà sharafat quwwatuhu ala suqut nígbà tó dàgbà òun sọ tí ń gbò dàgbà ṣẹ́mọ̀ fíìdì táwọn ará mọ́nù ọ̀rọ̀ bí kẹrẹ ní kí àfáà tó wá kúrò ní orí alhamdulillah a very good example is that I'm a raving example of Professor Isa Ali Pantami. Isa Ali Pantami has memorized a number of hadiths of the Prophet ﷺ. He has memorized the Quran, but he is into what? Into the ICT, into the sciences. Ṣé bẹ́ẹ̀ yóò ṣe dájọ́ àdísì lówó ṣe máa dá ọ̀tọ̀ ní tó ń ṣe kí ni ó tẹ̀lé iṣẹ́ ohun fèsì tó bá ṣe lọ báwọn àwọn problems ń wá sórí tébù tiẹ̀ kò ní ṣe pẹ̀lú fíkíù àti kí ni ó àtàdísà tafsiri tó bá ṣe lọ báwọn for years ẹgẹ́ kìí sí o wouldn't he be a bit affected ẹjá sòdodo fúnra yóò affected afáfákùdún àrọ̀ sí náà tó kàn pa philosophy ni fákùdùn rọ́ sí ní àwa náà kà ń jọta ń kà ó rí inú ìgọ́sàtò làfáàn ó náà kà á ó ní nǹkan gidi lágbòdò agbédání nígbà padà wá tá padà wálé àwa rí pé àṣífàṣùkò rárí ni so example tá à ń sọ nìyẹn nígbà tó di kó dàgbà wà aṣọ́rọ̀ fáj kò wẹ́tù wàlẹ̀ sukùt tí agbára bó ṣe máa ń ronú bó ṣe ẹni tó bá dẹ̀ fẹ́ tó bá fẹ́ jagun ẹ̀sìn lọ́dún táwọn sọ tán bí àwọn àfá ilé yìí yóò fi mọ̀ jagun ẹ̀sìn and he wouldn't stop at deductive reasoning na pé tàwílátò ẹ̀kọ́ lójó wọ́n pè ń kéfèrí torí pé àwọn tó jẹ́ àwọn challenge táwọn yóò gbé wá òní ó lè má rí náà sùn fún Kùránì ó lè má sí náà sùn fún àdí yóò pé ókè àyà bá ìfẹ́ rí bá ẹjá ẹbá sì ti pọ̀ tàwílátò jù àwọn tí ó fún yín lóókọ́ irú problem tó ní nìyẹn ó ń gbòdì pé agbára kó ẹni tí ò sí lè ronú ò lè ṣe tàwílù ìyẹn náà fi ń pè ní ṣí tó pé ṣíà lórí tàwíláàtì ọdá akọ̀dá wọ́n sáṣe and súnà dẹ̀ sọ́wọ́ pé owó tàwí láti ní ọ̀dá súnà ọ̀sọ́ bẹ́ẹ̀ fún wa àbí sí ẹ̀tọ́ ẹ̀kọ́ wa nùsà súnà ọ̀sọ́ bẹ́ẹ̀ fún wa tàwílù mẹ́tọ́ pé àwọn tàwílù makbulun salihun ìmí ń bẹ tàwílù marududun fasidun. So ó gbọ́dọ̀ dípa agbára kí agbèrò ònú kalẹ̀ káfẹ́ fi solve a practical problem that has no text in either of the Quran and in the Sunnah. Agbára yẹn ti weak lára rẹ̀ fahama lálmúdáwà àtà bó ṣe gbé ká máa tọ́jú èèyàn jùlẹ̀ ó ní ọ̀rọ̀ ká máa tọ́jú èèyàn jùlẹ̀ kòkò kàmá ń sìn kí ló wá ṣe ó bá bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí padà síbi kí ló fi bẹ̀rẹ̀ ayé ẹ̀ Kùránì ó bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí di Kùránì fún magútásàlà ó náà máa ìpá àwọn kẹ́mẹ́ tó wó ti tarabọ̀ ṣáájú ọgbùtásàlà ọwọ̀ jánábà wà tábà subhanallah wa tasaddaqa bima ma'ahu ala al-fuqara gbogbo tó ní ẹsẹ̀ sàárà kọ́lọ̀ fi pa ní tó lè jásẹ́sẹ̀ ẹgẹ́ tètè o ìjọ tí ń jagun yẹn só ń jagun fọ́ra rẹ̀ no ẹ̀yin máa ń jagun kankan sàárì kankan mọ́sáàsì àti ilé kí ó fún yín kí a máa dún bí gbére kẹmọ báwọn tó jù yín lọ àwọn ọ̀jagun fọ́ra wọn ní tó súnmọ́ kó ti jà lógun kó ti jásẹ́sẹ̀ ó wá fi sàárà láti kọ́lọ̀mbó kílìsì ẹ̀sẹ̀ ń dànù ọ̀rọ̀ dalmọ́dọ́lì máa lamọ́nà àrọ́fà ní tó lè já sí pé bí ẹ̀tọ́ ẹlẹ́tọ̀ tí mẹ́lọ́wọ́ ó dá padà kí wá ní ṣe kódà wọ àìta kọmọ malíkà àwọn tó ń bẹ lẹ́rú nínú àgbàlá rẹ̀ ó sì kí ni ó tún wọ́n lẹ̀ ó sì gbogbo ẹ̀ sadaqatan lillah kọ́lọ̀ lè bá sí kí ni ó kó lè bá gùn lábọ̀ ọ wá bẹ̀rẹ̀ wa ja'ala bada'a yakhtimu madha yakhtimu al-Qur'ana wọ́n ń ka Kùránì ń tàṣọ́fà Kùránì ń parí Kùránì fi kulli thalathati ayyami khatima once every 3 days ní ọ̀pàdé Kùránì ó lè jẹ́ kí ìfìdí kọ́ padà díẹ̀ ó wá ṣe lè fàá sún mọ̀mọ̀ àtà alayhi rahmatullah ó padà wá jẹ́ pé Ọlọ́run ibi táwọn lọ ní pé ó bá sí bẹ̀rẹ̀ Islam doesn't expect rather mediocres. Several Muslims today have chosen to be mediocres. They are mediocres in their chosen field, they are mediocres in whatever they lay their hands upon. And that isn't pertinent with Islam. Islam, right from the day it was first preached by the first prophet, Adam alayhi salam, up until when Muhammad was raised as a prophet, Islam has never raised mediocres. Islam hates mediocrity. If you don't know a particular aspect in which you may be useful, resourcing to Islam, you better have your Islam redefined. You had better have your Islam redefined. What kind of Islam are you practicing? What kind of Islam are you professing? Is it a retrogressive Islam or a progressive Islam? If your Islam is a progressive one, it's being progressive wouldn't find fault with the tenet of Islam. Kò ní tako tó jẹ́ pìlẹ̀ ẹ̀sìn, a progressive Islam. Ó ní tìtò gbọ́ fẹ́ di lawyer, ó fẹ́ di barista, kọ́ mọ́ tako ẹ̀sìn. Ìrìn ìgúnlẹ̀ dáadáa. Ó ní tìtò ní pé ìfẹ́ di chemist. Àwọn tó mọ chemist ń jọun, kìí sẹ́yìn tẹ́yìn fi ìwé kọ́, apology tàn tó fi ìwé kọ́, ẹ má bínú ìwé ilẹ̀ fi ń kọ́ lè ṣe paracetamol ọlọ́mú yín. Àwọn àfáàjọ́ tó bẹ̀rẹ̀ alchemy, subhanallah, ilkemiya, Ibn Sina náà tarabọ̀, elfiziya, àwọn tó tarabọ̀, àwọn òkan theory bí ìtẹ̀yìn, up to professorial level yìí, theory ni bí parrot, èbó burúkú wọ́n lè ṣe paracetamol. What aspect of Islam are you professing? What aspect of Islam are you set to defend in the near future? Any aspect of Islam that you've chosen to defend in the near future requires your being knowledgeable. Islam ìgbónúdó ṣe. Àtàfà wata sọ̀rọ̀ rẹ̀ díẹ̀ yìí, àtàn tó gbájú wọn lọ, especially in the glorious, subhanallah, wọ́n sọ the glorious period of Islamic civilization, làwọn ilé ìdíde. Kìí ṣe pé wọn ò lákìídá wọn ní, ṣùgbọ́n tán fi ń jagbọ̀njọ́ náà ní ìmọ̀ sáyẹ́nsì, and they defended Islam with their blood, with their energy, with their youthful days. Wọ́n defend Islam. Ní àti àfi bá nǹkankan. Kéjì jẹ́mi àti ẹbá nǹkanu. Tí ìbá ṣe pé people like Ibn Hasan defend the Mazhabu Maliki in Spain, kò bá ti kú. èyí tó fẹ́ defend yẹn ìmọ̀ náà fi ń defend yìí ìmọ̀ mọ́jọ́ olódo wọ́n sì fẹ́ nímọ̀ ibi tí mọ̀ ti bẹ̀rẹ̀ náà ládọ́ padà sí àwọn tó nímọ̀ láyé kódà tẹ́ dórí èbó fọ́fọ́n èbó Germany èbó Spain èbó England èbó America tó fẹ́ kú sí lọ́rùn ìjọ táwọn bàbá tí wọ́n bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí kọ́mọ̀ wọ́n kọ́mọ̀ lọ́dọ̀ àwọn àfáà mùsùlùmí with Arabic language ọlọ́dà kò mọ́sẹ̀ ìsàn náà ní fangat ẹ̀sìn lọ́jọ́ ọ̀la àtọ̀tàn láìsìn yìí ètò ń fi àṣẹ lónìí mọ́jà máa padà sí ibú ètò tó ń wà ká ṣe ń dáadáa ọlọ́run àbíọ́ you have the might to make us into the personalities we crave agbára ẹ̀kọ́ sọ àdì bẹ́ẹ̀ ń bẹ lọ́dọ̀ rẹ̀ mọ́jà dídàkúdà ọlọ́run mọ́jà ṣe kèfèrè kẹ́yìn gbàgbọ́ mọ́jà ṣe rádáadá kẹ́yìn pàǹsẹ̀ dáadáa yìí wọlá agbára wọlá wọ̀rọ̀ ọlọ́run subhana rabbika rabbil izzati ma yasifun wa salamun ala al-mursalin walhamdulillahi rabbil alamin sallu ala nabiyil karim